Hello, friends. I am Rajesh Dev from Sports Nasha, and with me is our director Shirish Deshpande, and the guest today is none other than our own Pankaj Athavale. What can I say about him? Who is Pankaj Athavale? He is a cricket commentator. He is a anchor for various sports events, for various sports conferences. He is a faculty of sports management colleges, and he also runs archery academy and many other things. I think we will leave it to him only to explain. Such a versatile person in sports, and I welcome him for our second issue of our e-magazine of Sports Nasha. And Pankaj, I request you to take over and please tell our viewers.
Rajesh sir, thank you very much. Shirish sir, it's so nice
Yeah,
to be back with all of you all. Sports Nasha is like a second family to me, and certainly, of course, it has not been, I would say, immense contribution, whatever small contribution I have been able to make in the last maybe 18 years or something like that. I would say it's just been an absolute honor. It's been an absolute pleasure and a great learning experience. Every moment that I have been part of sports, be it on the field or off the field, it's been a very wonderful journey, and I have met some really wonderful people, learned a lot, and that's how things have kind of moved ahead. So basically, I mean, talking about myself, I'm an engineer by profession, always been very technically oriented. I used to play a bit of cricket here and there, and slowly got into radio broadcasting, and soon realized that I can also handle certain live commentaries, running commentaries. I started doing international cricket commentaries with All India Radio somewhere in 2004. And that's how things kept on happening. And because I was associated with sports, interviewing people, doing different kind of shows, I got the opportunity to also do live broadcasts for events like the Commonwealth Games, the Asian Games, the National Games. Did a lot of commentary for even Kabaddi. So I've been associated with Star Sports as far as Pro Kabaddi is concerned, and did international hockey commentary, and also time and again got opportunity to do something like a rugby commentary, and it's been quite an interesting journey. And as far as archery is concerned, after I couldn't play too much of cricket, got into archery as a player. Never thought I will teach anyone any archery because it was for myself, and started playing a bit at the state level, and realized that a lot of people also wanted to learn archery. So with the good networks, got a coaching certification, started my academy, and I'm teaching archery. So whatever experiences I've collected over the years, I now try and also share them with all the students, with the management students, as far as their syllabus is concerned. So it's been a wonderful journey. Came along with all of you all with Sports Nasha. We did some very wonderful events like the Khel Darpan and various other events. So it's been a very fruitful journey. That's all I can say. Rajesh, very interestingly, I never knew that there's something called. I used to listen to radio commentary, but never thought that I'll be doing that. So when I used to go along with my producers for interviews or for my radio shows, they said that you do well. Why don't you try commentary? I said, that doesn't matter. Let's do it. So I remember in 2003, they took me to the Wankhede Stadium where there was a Ranji match going on between Mumbai and Kerala. I very
Uh,
clearly remember, and I was lucky because when my recording and audition came in, that time Vinod Kambli was batting, and he just came in and smacked three, four boundaries, and my commentary suddenly came off really, very well, and they selected me somehow. And then in 2004, early 2004, I was called to do the match between the both President 11 and Pakistan at Dharamshala. That was the first match of that very famous 2004 series, and it was also the first match of that Dharamshala stadium. Though that 3 days were fantastic, and I immediately did India Sri Lanka ODI at the BPCL Stadium in Vadodara, and that's how things kept on happening. A lot of World Cups, a lot of Test matches. Last I did the Sydney Test match against India Australia, and also did the one days between India and England.
True.
So it's been a very interesting journey. Then the T20s came in 2006, 2007.
Mm.
That became a different format. So the Test matches, T20s, ODIs. Cricket has been fantastic, and I got an opportunity to do the commentary along with the stalwarts like Clive Lloyd, Sunny Gavaskar, Arjuna Ranatunga, Kapil Dev during the 2011 World Cup.
That's great.
Uh, so it was a dream come true. The
Australia.
T20 World Cup, a lot of bilateral series, a lot of World Cups. So that it's
Yeah.
been amazing. A very interesting point by Harsha, and the point is, see, we also have to understand that over the period of time, along with cricket, cricket is very synonymous to our socio-economic cultural background. In the 80s and the 90s, we had a different atmosphere. So cricket was also like that. The commentary was also like that. I'm not saying it is right or wrong or better or bad. It's the flavor of every season. In the 90s, 2000, with the economy opening up, sponsorships and new things coming up. So the commentary also started becoming more entertaining. With the 2000 coming in, more consumeristic attitude came into the picture as far as our society is concerned. So the entertainment is now more required than actual technical cricket. So it is all as per the society and the economic and the socio-cultural aspect. There are multiple variations. One is in the format of the game, Test cricket, ODIs, and T20. And I've also been able to do it in three languages: English primarily, Hindi, as well as Marathi. So that brings about very different flavors and aspects to the entire thing. But yes, when you are in a test match, you tend to kind of describe a lot of things. And this is very synonymous to radio commentary, because in radio, we are supposed to do running commentary. In
Hmm.
television, of course, there are slightly different flavored commentary which is there. So in radio, what my fundamental has always been is I always stick to the game. I try not to give too many stories when there is no time at all. So as far as T20 is concerned, don't expect any stories from me. I'm slam bang out there with the action, cut to cut, and you know how things are in T20. I just go along. In the one days, of course, it's a slightly a nice thing, and of course, in the test matches, you get a lot of time to talk about different aspects of the game, technicalities, stories, experiences, anecdotes, and that's how I try to differentiate. So maybe 2020 is something like a fast food, khichdi, fatafat khatam kar lo. I try to maintain my commentary like that. One day is more mainly like a appetizer. You have good things, but still takes time. Test matches is a 7 course meal or a 3 course meal. You take your time to you know cook it nicely and serve it to the people. I think that's what I try and do. And let me tell you, all these stalwarts are absolute thorough gentlemen. I mean, there's so much to learn from them. With Arjuna Tunga, see, as a commentator, I have also kind of observed him. He's a fun-loving personality. We tend to look at him very seriously because he fought with the umpires and we have a different thought about him. But he's a chilled out guy. And then with him, I try to be very nice, very funny. Trying to kind of compare his physique with the kind of youngsters that are there and get something out of it. For example, remember asking Ranatunga, did you ever go to the gym? Because still you played so well, you were so flamboyant, you were so beautiful. And then he comes up with certain things and stuff like that. With Kapil Dev, he is absolutely natural. And the more you talk sense with him, cricket with him, he just goes on and on with some really beautiful numbers and very, very technical stuff.
Hmm.
Clive Lloyd, and I must confess, initially I was a bit nervous, but tall, 6'5" even at this age, he's a very very fantastic character. But he is such a gentleman, and he likes to have a conversation. So I remember, in fact, that the moment I met Clive Lloyd in Delhi, and we just started. And what I try and do is I try and keep it very very natural and normal without trying to be very studious and very very student like or very patronizing or very scared. I try to talk to them as if they are my partners in crime and they like it.
Hmm.
So getting a lot of things out of him as far as the Caribbean flavor is concerned, that was fun. And I met him in 2017 at the Champions Trophy in England. And no, guess what? The first thing he asked me, "Hi Pankaj, how are you? How is Chandra?" You know, Bhagwat Chandrasekhar was not keeping well those days. And the first question, and I was like, "Sir, you have played against him. You have hit him all across the park every time. Why are you asking about him?" He said, "No, Pankaj, that was on the field. He's a gentleman of the field. How is he?" So you kind of come to know how fantastic these guys are, and we really don't know that they are equally as normal as we are. Sunny Bhai, absolutely professional, absolutely fantastic. I remember 2011, we were doing the match between India and Netherlands at the Firozshah Kotla at Delhi, and I was not supposed to do the commentary with him. I was not on the roster. And just imagine my situation. I'm doing the commentary, I'm describing, and suddenly you see Mr. Sunil Gavaskar sitting next to you and smiling at you. I like, and you're doing commentary, like, ye ho raha hai, aisa ho raha hai, and I know this, that, and like, and for a moment, I'll tell you, and I must confess, I was very, very nervous because I am giving the running commentary. The over is happening. I have to introduce him, and my dilemma was, how do I address him? Sir, Sunny Bhai, Sunil Gavaskar, sir. I mean, I was like very, very nervous, but I was talking. Wonderful stroke in the covers, one run single Lilian, and actually, I cannot also make it really like a great entrance. We have a greatest of players, legend of player, ye wo aisa waisa karke. I have to keep it as normal because then he is my partner in the commentary box.
Hmm.
So I just took a call, Sunny, welcome in the commentary box, and I just started slowly conversing with him. Thorough gentleman, absolutely professional, and I apologized to him afterwards. He said, sorry, I called you Sunny. I spoke in Marathi. अरे sorry sir, तुम्हाला मी Sunny बोललो म्हणजे एकेरी नाही हाक मारली. नाही नाही Pankaj, no problem. Take it easy and
Hmm.
done. So these guys are amazing, you know. Even David Lloyd, Steve Harmison, Alan Wilkins.
Oh.
What they want is they want to have an intelligent interaction. If
Hmm.
you give them that, they really take care of it. Very interesting question. And I think, Sirish, what you have mentioned is a lot of youngsters nowadays dream of becoming a broadcaster or a commentator. Definitely. But I would put it in a slight pattern that someone can do commentary at the local level, someone can do commentary online at the national level, someone can do commentary at the international level. So, you have to understand what are you good at, because I'll tell you, doing commentary at the local level is also an art in itself, also a fantastic thing. And I've seen people doing commentary in Agri, in Marathi, and they go crazy. They are fantastic. They do earn a decent amount if they are into that particular circuit. That's a decent kind of living. But the money will start coming when you actually mature, put in those number of years in broadcasting, understand the nuances, create a good position yourself for yourself, and then the money starts coming very well. Though I would still say a lot of my students are still doing well, maybe doing football, maybe doing cricket in the regional language. So even the regional language is very, very good amount of money. Shirish and Rajesh, I must tell you that our listeners will need to understand that the future is regional,
Hmm.
and you don't get a lot of people to do regional commentary like a Tamil, Telugu, Bengali,
Okay.
Malayalam, Marathi. You have good amount of money in that because broadcasters are looking forward to such kind of people. The only warning from my point, as a friendly advice I would give, is that don't dream to be a commentator because you want to advise someone. Because unfortunately, what I've seen amongst people is that I feel I know a lot of things, and I want to tell people what is my opinion, and I want to advise others. I think that is what not a broadcaster is. Broadcaster is like a postman. He or she is supposed to basically pass on the view to the listener or the viewer and entertain them to add on the value. But I've seen a lot of youngsters who feel that I know a lot and that's why I want to become a broadcaster. I think that will be only piece of advice. But otherwise, if you do well, but if you start improving on your linguistic skills, there is a very good possibility that you will make a decent amount of money and then there is no looking back. Rajesh, very well said. I think those who will survive are the people who are associated with sports, interested in sports, because we have some sort of fighting skills with us. We lose matches, we lose events, but we come back strongly. I
Hmm.
think this is a big, huge problem that the world is facing, everyone is facing. And the point is, we are going to come out of it, we are going to win. We will get damaged, we will get hurt, but we are going to win. Just tell me, and I've shut down my archery business for the last 15, 16 months. I mean,
Hmm.
can't do anything about it. So it's a problem. But sometimes as you all have been fans of cricket, we have seen a lot of test matches when their game is very, very slow. It's a
Hmm.
very slow and a very boring phase of the game. They're not making runs, they're getting hurt, they're just surviving. I think that is the phase of our lives right now. And also, there are certain games which will still survive in this current situation. For example, chess, e-games, because they're online.
Yes. Yes.
Certain games will take a hit, and I think the water games are going to be hit the most.
Most.
So I always feel that as a sports person, as an athlete, you should be multi-sport. so that even in normal conditions or abnormal conditions like these, you're still able to survive some way or the other. Because for example, even though right now the pandemic is going on, but we have still had the Asian Wrestling Championship,
Mm.
Asian Weightlifting Championship in Tashkent, the Uzbekistan Open Swimming Championship where India has won 29 medals, just happened in Uzbekistan. The Youth Boxing Championships are happening in Poland. So things are happening. I'm not saying it's all hunky dory, but I think this is a good time. They say that if you sweat in peacetime, you'll bleed lesser in the wartime. I think this is the time for us to just keep ourselves in shape. You may lose a couple of good years of your career as a sports person. Agreed, doesn't matter. But I think as a sports person, automatically your life is elongated because we are trying to stay fit. Just stay positive, just keep on playing, just survive. I
Mm.
think that is the only thing. I'm not sure whether I'll be able to restart my archery academy or not. I think I may have to close that business.
Mm.
You never know because nothing is happening, nothing is opening up. But still, let's continue. Let's keep associated, maybe learn new games. You never know because there are
Yes,
certain games where you don't have an age barrier.
right.
So something may just come up. So let's stay positive, survive. And a very valid question. I think I must congratulate both of you because you all have been very, very consistently working for that particular category, the grassroots level. Because everyone talks about the elite athletes.
Mm.
वो तो 5% है,
Mm.
बाकी का 95% का क्या? So I think what you all can constantly do is come up with different types of content
Mm.
related to different sports. Maybe encourage people, entertain people to some extent. I never know, but that is what you all can do, and you all are doing. I really must confess, you all are doing a fantastic job, no doubt about that. As far as academies are concerned, there is going to be an institutional hit, and I feel there also needs to be a thought put in by the government in order to subsidize these things, these academies, and these institutions in some way. Because at the end of the day, if the sports academies survive, the next generation and the current generation will be able to fight off this health crisis also.
Yes.
So don't look at sports only from a ROI perspective, ki how much money you're investing and how much you're getting back.
Mm.
We're investing so much in healthcare. Do we expect something back? No, we expect a healthy society.
Mm.
You asked about different sports. Did you realize that the lockdown, cycling has picked up suddenly?
Mm.
Oh, yeah.
है ना?
Right.
So we have to understand there will be some sports doing well, some sports not doing well, but we have to make sure that people associated, if you all can't stop the academies from closing, fair
Mm.
enough, at least make sure that the athlete, the sports person, the coach has to be at least considered as an important component of the health society
Mm.
and help them in some way, at least take care of the EMIs in some way or the other, give them some tax shops somewhere. I'm not saying, you give away money, but the fact is, I have known so many coaches who are out of business right now. I
Right.
know a swimming coach who has lost his job and he doesn't know. And the problem is, he doesn't know any other game.
Oh.
But those who can survive, they can still continue fulfilling their academic ambitions,
Yes.
certifications, get as much as possible, stay connected with sports, maybe help people. So I think what you all are doing, Rajesh and Shirish, is also very interesting because if we are able to kind of help this particular group who is affected with the pandemic now,
Mm.
the academies, the coaches, and everyone,
Mm.
can they also start taking care of the masters and the veterans who are still interested in sports? Do some online sessions, continue building up so
Mm.
that they can still make money, survive, but
Uh,
also create a new healthy masters group which can come out and participate later on.
yes.
But the society needs to look at athletes from a very important perspective that you have to help them in some way or the other, innovatively. Maybe I think tax shops, some sort of जैसे स्टार्टअप इंडिया में आप किसी को आप फंडिंग दे रहे हो तो इनको फंडिंग देने में कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है.
Yes.
Correct.
You need to subsidize their survival in some way or the other. Now I have seen so many table tennis academies going down, badminton academies stopping because the and one more problem that we have in a country is that if I have a place, I hire a basement or a place, they're asking me the same amount of rent that they charge to a marriage. Is it really possible? I mean, use some common sense that if you're asking someone to start a table tennis academy, आप common sense समझ के उसको थोड़ा सा एक लॉजिकल रेंट बताओ ना. आपको शादी में इतना पैसा मिलता है इसलिए आप उसको करोगे, तो फिर शादी का खेल खेलते हैं हम लोग. Let's
Correct.
which is sad. You know, we are looking at only ROIs, paisa, 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 paisa. No, I think health is wealth as of now. Yes, very interesting. So as you said, the awareness amongst youngsters is really very high. They also want to get academically qualified. I try and share as many very very grassroots experiences as possible. But one thing I've realized, the younger lot is very smart, very very talented, but somewhere they are compartmentalizing themselves
Okay.
because they are only attracted to a large extent. I'm not saying everyone, to a large extent to the franchisee based sports. I want to be there with that franchisee at that point, and I want to delegate work and I want to get the work done. So if you ask any youngster who's interested in sports, what are your what do you call the what are your skill sets? The general common answer is I'm very passionate about sports. I can get work done. I can take pressure. Boss, you have to do something on the ground level, at the grassroots level. So there is a slight deviation, and probably what has happened, we are also to blame because we have shown them dreams about the English Premier League, about this, about IPL, and this and that, and we have never given them exposure to gully cricket, gully sports, the smaller ones. Now, I was when I told them that the current carom world champion is from Mumbai and he works as a clerk in RBI. They said, "Is it? Acha." अरे बट देन इज अ वर्ल्ड चैंपियन यार, थोड़ा तो कुछ कदर करो उसकी. तो थोड़ा सा ये लग रहा है कि एंड नाउ व्हाट हैपेंस, यू नो, दे कम विद रियली वेरी हाई एस्पिरेशंस. व्हेन वी टेल देम द रियलिटी, they are like completely broken down. Arey, what is this? How are we going to do now? Arey, look at this, sir. Pandemic ho gaya. What we thought, we'll go here, we'll meet stars, we'll be at the venue, we'll enjoy. So I think, and they're talented. You know, problem is they're extremely talented and smart, but they're not able to come up with a proper approach. I try to give them as much as possible, but ultimately you got to fall, you got to learn, and you got to earn your honor in the field of sports. No one is ready to give away money in India. You know, very few people are who are genuinely ready to help. So maybe what can be done is we can constantly highlight through your medium, through various other mediums, the motivational stories, because today in the pandemic we are looking forward for some motivation and some positivity. So can we come out with 100 stories of cricketers who have not played 25 matches, and that's why they are not eligible for pension, and just keep on highlighting them. If not the BCCI, definitely I am sure there will be people in the society who will come forward to help them in some way or the other. See, because it may also happen that you may need medical help. That is one sort of help. You may also need maybe some sort of coaching help, some sort of teaching help, some other aspects that they might be good in, you know. I think with their qualification as a with their background, we just need to highlight ki X, Mr. X played this, these are the matches, this is what he did, this is what he did. You know, if you can highlight that on a very regular basis without expecting immediate returns, I'm sure, forget the BCCI, I'm definitely sure there will be individuals who will be coming forward to help them in some way or the other. And I think that can be utilized to push this and create a bigger awareness. I think social media is the one. So crowdfunding can be an option. If someone is sick, can we get them? So there will be a lot of people who may not be ready to help in cash, but definitely in kind. I think that may just help us in some way. But the stories are very, very important. Very important.
Yeah.
I did play. So I'll put it very, very innocently also, and very, very pragmatically also. We didn't know which were the tournaments to play to move up the ladder. To be very frank, we just played. We played because we enjoyed. And you know, one thing which I always try to tell the students also, see, everyone dreams to play for the country. I also dream. But I remember one of my mentors, you know, we used to play a lot of tennis cricket in Bandra at the Patwardhan Park. I was somewhere in the 6th, 7th standard, 8th standard, and we used to be there the whole day, play. And I used to play with all the different people around and learned a lot. And I remember that in that group, I did not get to bat or bowl for 6 months.
Oh.
I was only asked to field. But
Mm.
we were
Wow.
idiots, we were naive, and I'm happy about it. We kept on playing and we learned a lot. And that's how we came up the ladder. Nowadays, I don't think youngsters will be ever happy to do that. But I had one of my mentors, and he observed me, and he also used to kind of help me a lot in my technique and my, because I was an all-rounder, fast bowling all-rounder. I asked him one day. He was a Parsi guy, Rusi. I'm sure if he listens to this, he'll be more than happy. He said, Rusi bhai, kya lagta hai aapko? I want to play. I want to go ahead. So he said, Pankaj, let me tell you very, very frankly, don't feel bad about it. With the kind of level you play, kind of talent you have, you can go at the most up to the university level or the Ranji selection, not beyond that. I was very angry. I was very upset. Just imagine I'm a 17, 16-year-old boy and you're telling him, and I'm dreaming. But I kept that in mind for a long time, had a lot of anger against him, but I kept on meeting him. Still very wonderful person. He's very old now. But then later on, as I've played, I think we also need to ask ourselves and understand how good we are.
Mm.
So I don't have any regrets that I could not play at the highest level. I always would have loved to, but I realized that I had a few limitations, and I think at the most I could have, at the most, with good connections and stuff, I would have played the Ranji or something, 1 or 2 matches. But I pragmatically know what my level is, and I feel every player needs to also understand that, and especially the parents need to understand that.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's very easy to crack a dream and break your heart. But that doesn't mean you are useless.
Mm.
It means you are good. Every player is good. I think that is. I would be very frank in this case.
Uh,
So basically, I never thought that I will ever write a book. I don't think I'm an author or something like that. But as I continued doing my radio broadcasting, I used to take a lot of sessions and lectures in various colleges in media department. They have a subject called radio, and I used to teach them quite across various universities. And radio is a subject where actually you don't have any study material. It's just a practical subject. So many a times during examinations, the students used to ask me, we want notes, we want this, we want that. And I said, where do I give you notes from? And then sooner I realized I tried to find out notes from online, various libraries, books, but I realized that there was nothing related to radio in the Indian context. So I decided to write the book, compile all my experiences together as per the syllabus of various universities and the media courses. And that's how I came up with my book called Stay Tuned, The Story of Radio in India. It's published by Indus Source Books, and it's available on Amazon. And it can be used as a study material. It can be used as a reference guide, because here I've not basically tried to write how to talk on radio. I've basically tried to talk about the industry, the radio, the context of radio in India then and now. What are the opportunities? And yes, I've also put in a lot of inputs regarding the live sports broadcasts that I've done, right from the cricket commentaries to the Commonwealth Games to the national games to Pro Kabaddi to hockey international matches. It's I've tried to kind of give a very brief view on that. So that's how the book came up. I never thought I'll be an author, sorry, but it just happened fortunately, and I'm thankful to my family and friends like you that you all keep on encouraging me to do all these atarangi things in life. So all of us always are absolutely delighted anytime you even get a glimpse of the master. I think it's enough for us. But fortunately, so I was able to interview him at MIG a couple of years back, and it was the day of Diwali, a wonderful day. I was supposed to basically talk to him about his academy. They were having a camp out there, the Tendulkar Middlesex Cricket Academy, and they were doing it. And I was supposed to basically interact with him about it. Um, Again, as I kind of gave you the experiences of all the other greats that I've done the commentary with, this guy is amazing. He's so simple, and we have an awe about him. Aila, Sachin Tendulkar. But that person is wonderful. And the first thing I asked him is, sir, mostly everyone refers to him as master. You don't call him sir, you don't call him anything, you call him master. That's what his close friends also do that. I said, Master, can I have a request? During the interview, can I address you as Sachin? Only during the interview. Please don't. He said, of course, Pankaj, definitely. And then I asked him, is there anything that you want me to ask you specifically so that you can answer? He said, Pankaj, just let's talk. Let's talk. Let's enjoy. And one thing I've noticed over the career of my radio as well as my sports commentary, that Yajuvendra Singh Bilkha is there, Sanjay Gavaskar is there, all the greats. You talk to them, you talk sense to them, you ask them wonderful questions, and believe me, they will not stop talking. They're
Hmm.
so they enjoy it so much. They like to talk intelligent things, and they like to be asked intelligent things. What happens is they come across so many people, कुछ भी पूछ लिया, ये पूछ लिया, कैसा लगता है आपको, ये आपका बेटा क्या करेगा, आपको कौन सा खाना पसंद है.
Hmm.
They realize, but you start asking them real questions and they go berserk and they don't want to stop. And that's what happened. I was supposed to just talk to him for 10 minutes. It went for 15 minutes, 20 minutes. I kept on asking sub questions. He kept on giving me stories. I kept on connecting it with various experiences that we have all seen him. And his team was so angry at me. They were like, cut kar, cut kar, cut kar. And I said, मैं क्या करूँ? उनको बोलो वही नहीं तू better है. And he was going on and on and on and on. And he came out with really wonderful anecdotes. And really hats off to him because of the kind of acumen these people have. For example, just imagine Mahendra Singh Dhoni. I met him in 2011 after the match. The whole team was moving around with Sachin on their shoulders, and Dhoni was sitting down. We asked like, "अरे माही भाई जाओ, आप captain है बोलते नहीं यार, it is his time." So no, these guys are so intelligent and so sensitive that we actually look at them from a very superhuman being thing, but they are very natural. They're very nice people, and the more sense you talk to them, the more they'll talk to you. They'll be more attached to you. I think that was
Yeah.
a absolutely memorable experience. Sports science. I think sports science is something really big that has come in now. Definitely, as far as the elite athletes are concerned. Uh, I sometimes have a question that, see, Rajesh and Sirish, we all have played some sort of game at some level. We all started because we enjoyed the game. I think that component cannot be missed out, even if you do sports science, whatever. The moment you become mechanical, you're not going to succeed. So the challenge now here is that the youngsters who are playing well, because they have a lot of opportunity now, they have to decide. As I said, I asked my mentor how good I am. Please tell me realistically. You got to ask yourself at what level, once you reach, do you need sports science, nutrition, and other things? And you have to be very, very pragmatic and very neutral about it to yourself. The parents and the coaches also have to be very real because sports science is useful at that elite level when you are playing someone like a Roger Federer, when you're playing someone like a Virat Kohli, when you're running along with Usain Bolt. That 1%, 2% is what sports science makes a difference. But you have to really understand. See, being an engineer, I can understand. See, it helped me improve my archery because I could understand the equipment much better. I could ask medical professionals about my body, about my muscle, about my structure much better, and I could definitely see the improvement there. Now you all have to decide. You start enjoying, continue enjoying the game, but once you are at maybe the state at the national level, definitely now you will have to take advantage because the services are available. You all are hosting so many seminars and webinars and events on sports science, psychology, nutrition. It will definitely help you. Please don't underestimate it. But the timing is very important. I don't have a real solution for everyone, but you have to understand what is a good timing for you. Because I have so many youngsters, for example, who are right now 12 and 13 years old, and they're doing really very well as cricketers. But the moment you apply sports science to them, they will not enjoy the game, they will go down. Or have they worked hard in building their body over the past 1 or 2 years so that sports science can be applied on them? I think that is
Hmm.
what we also have to understand. And sometimes, see, you can't apply sports science to someone like a Rahul Dravid or a Virendra Sehwag. I mean, they're crazy people. Are you able to also identify that, yes, sports science is important to me, but I'm absolutely crazy and I'm able to use that craziness in my elite performance? That is one solution. If you feel that I am very methodic and I can go step by step and do, that is what you have to take a choice. So the application of sports science will be very, very different for each and every individual. But I feel it is very important right now in order to enhance your performance because the competition is very high. I think in the last episode, you all spoke to Om Kubal, wonderful shooter. Now today, the shooting has become so fantastic that the difference between two shooters is so small. I think that is where sports science, makes that difference and creates a different personality in you. So it is very important, but the application has to be absolutely customized. For that, you need to understand the athlete. The athlete has to understand himself or herself. And I think sports science will definitely take you to that elite level and that X factor which is required in order to compete.
Thank you very much, Pankaj. I think sportsmen must have understood various aspects of sports, like sports management, then sports commentary, right? And sports writing. You have written a book, so many things, and sports science, and your expertise here. And I just want all sportsmen to watch this interview and share with other athletes and sports lovers. Just a request to them that you visit a sports academy nearby when the things ease out, when the conditions are good. And when you go to visit a sports academy, just check what way you can help them. You can adopt a player, or you can get sponsorship for them. Or if you don't know anyone, please contact Sports Nasha. We know so many academies. It's not about it's not about who gets the credit. I always believe that there is no limit to what can be accomplished if it doesn't matter who gets the credit. I think sports needs support, sports. And I can see academies are literally getting, I think, wiped out from many cities, and they need our support. Just like we are giving food and medicines, of course, that is a priority. But when these academies will survive, many houses which are based on these academies will survive. So I just request sports lover to give a thought, and all those who are well off can think of supporting some academies in their cities in whichever sports they want. I think that's all from me, Shirish. And we thank Pankaj for giving his valuable time. And do watch this full interview, and of course subscribe to our channel, Sports Nasha.
Yes. I think Rajesh and Shirish, you all are doing an amazing job. The viewers need to understand the passion and the commitment, the selfless work that Sports Nasha is putting in. And Rajesh, you really hit the nail on the head that we need to support in some way or the other. And I think who will survive? We will survive because we know how to lose, and we also know how to learn from that loss and come back.
Yes.
So we will survive, and we will. The only thing is, don't give up, stay positive, just keep on surviving. That is the only thing. And I tell you, sports will survive, no doubt about it. And please subscribe to Sports Nasha. Please support them, because we are trying to do a lot of good things. Shirish and Rajesh, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for inviting me. It's a family thing, I know, but then formally, I thank you so much for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, Pankaj.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.